I was waiting for a bus the other day, and I look over. This old woman stood drenched in the rain. Wet strands of her gray hair were pasted across her face. She braced herself against the dirty water that splashed from the careless cars that drove past. She grasped onto the arm of her companion, another old woman who was just as wet. Her face was set against the rain as they stood in the bus stop queue along with a dozen others who, like me, were headed into town. The rain poured down, but I was bone dry, one of the lucky 5 who had arrived first and stood under the bus stop shelter at the front of the queue. The bus was due, and I checked the time and then looked at this line that extended out into the rain, but acknowledged the order and time that each person had arrived at this stop. It was a systematic organization of rain-soaked bodies. Any disruption to this queue would have been unspeakably naughty. Each drenched person in line adhered to the unspoken queue rule that thou shalt not jump the bus stop queue, or else you shall face a deluge of dirty looks and an unbearable torrent of tuts. And yet, I looked around and I noticed there was enough room for all of the people who were waiting. This unspoken rule, I thought, could use some debating. What if, I thought, I shouted down the queue, "Hello, look here, all of you. There's plenty of room under here where it's dry. Break free from the queue. Come along. Don't be shy. Yes, you, all of you, step up. There's plenty of room under here to bunch up. Standing under here where it's dry and out of the rain makes so much more sense and is a far more sane way to deal with the situation of the incessant precipitation in this queue-forming nation." And people would look up, shaken out of their queue trance, and glance at each other with glints of hope in their eyes. They would step forward, ignoring the order of the queue, transforming from a line into a group, all dry and huddled, smiling together, happy and cheery under the bus stop shelter. Cars would drive by, and drivers would double take and think, what the hell has happened to that queue? That group of people waiting for the bus looks so happy and cheery. The drivers would envy us. We would all be so happy to be out of the rain that we'd chat about all sorts, what we'd planned for our days. And the 2 old women who had inspired my call to action would start clapping, applauding this revolutionary happening. They would tell their friends, and word would spread fast, and news of this one simple noble act would ripple across the land and launch a tide of change. No more standing in the rain while waiting for the bus just because of silly queue rules. It's really too foolish to follow rules that don't make sense. The entire country would stop such nonsense. Everyone everywhere would maximize the use of the bus shelter space and maybe, just maybe, engage with each other face to face. I envisioned a queue revolution taking over the land. But then the guy in front of me extended his hand to beckon the oncoming bus to stop for all of us. I quickly fished into my pocket for my bus fare, and there, in that moment, my revolutionary ideas were abandoned. And we all boarded the bus in an orderly fashion. Thank you.